What's up, everybody? Sensei here. Welcome to the show. Welcome to another video. And Rodger Underhill joined in on Ustride's live stream, and let me tell you, it was a treat. He talked about his early model of the EX20S. He gave some really great viewpoints. I will leave a link in the description below for the whole video of the live stream. But this was really, really fun. And thank you so much, guys. I had a blast. So enjoy.
Yeah, I've had this wheel for, I don't know, about 6 weeks now. And I sweet talk BEGODE because I know the guys there, and they let me have one of the early wheels, probably the last one to go out the door before the holiday. Because I really wanted this wheel because I've always wanted a suspension wheel with big battery. For years I've wanted that. So when they brought it out, I was like, please, please, please let me have one. Just before the holiday, I did a bit of riding during the holiday, and I wasn't able to do everything I wanted to do, but I guess I've got some general comments on it. It's built very well. It's very strongly built, but my honest opinion is it very much looks and feels a bit like a prototype in that it's more like a Land Rover. It's built solidly, and in there you can see the metalwork's very thick. It's very, very rugged looking, and it has that appearance when riding as well. It's very solid. It's my first 100-volt wheel, so I don't have anything to compare it with. But it feels incredibly stable, much more stable than my V3 Monster. And I go a lot faster on this wheel than I do on any other wheel. So it just feels comfortable with the suspension. It takes the roughness out of the road and manhole covers and things like that. It feels very tight as well when I'm riding. It doesn't feel like there's any play in it. So it just seems well built. I've ridden it really hard a few times, and I got 110 kilometers out of a full battery, which is probably reasonable with hard riding, and I was riding at about 115 kilograms of weight, my weight plus the bag. And I got well over 90 kilometers in cold conditions as well, in winter conditions here, and I've ridden it in snow as well, which was entertaining.
So that's 55 miles. 55 miles, by the way. Was that 55? Was that 55 miles to dead, or?
No, it wasn't. So the 90 kilometers was in cold weather. It wasn't to dead. The 110 kilometers I did in normal weather also wasn't to dead. It was down to about 10% indicated battery. So I was working on, it's about 1% per kilometer on this wheel. Oh, sorry, about 0.9% per kilometer on this wheel. So something like that. So it's reasonable range.
Is that the speed version or the torque version that you got?
This is the C38 torque version.
Wow.
I'm not sure if they've actually made a speed version yet. They just, I think they got about 20 or 30 wheels out of the door before the holiday, just to go out to the suppliers, I think, for feedback. So in terms of some of the other features there, the shock is homemade, I think, but I put it next to the the S18 shock, and they're the same length. So definitely it can be swapped out for a regular shock. The side pads for the lean pads are adjustable. Again, it's a basic construction, so it's a rubberized kind of pad on stuck onto aluminium sheet. And then you can see that there are two holes in the pads there. There's two screws going through, and you can adjust the pads. You can adjust the pads back and forwards and tighten it with
really. Wait, hold on. Sorry to interrupt you. So it's not Velcro.
No.
Wow, this is what the KS20 was supposed to be. This is what we were talking about, Sensei.
Right. So the pad in this case is stuck onto a piece of maybe 1 mil aluminium, which is bent to shape, and then two screws through, and you can see there are grooves there. You can adjust it back and forwards, but slightly up and down because of the angle.
Wow.
So that's worked well. The version I have doesn't have the jump pads, the lower ones, because that was the one you see there is actually what's it called, 3D printed kind of mock-up. So I think they're ready now, but when I bought it, they weren't ready. Looking at the lights there, that's also a fairly industrial design. What happens is the 4 circular lights join together to make one circular beam. I haven't really tested it much at night, to be honest. And it is adjustable with 4 screws. Sorry, 4 bolts you can see on either side. You just loosen them off and you can adjust the angle and then screw it up and tighten it up again. So probably not adjustable on the fly, but it is adjustable. If you want to take an Allen key with you, then there's no problem. For me personally, those pads and the seat, my knees kind of go just above the seat when I'm just slightly gripping the wheel. And honestly, it feels so comfortable. It's so amazingly comfortable to have that width of wheel, that comfortable seat with padding and the lean pads either side. Very, very nice. Personally, I haven't been able to sit down on the seat yet because I'm not that familiar with seated riding, but also the distance between the pedals and the seat itself is slightly smaller than that on my Monster. So for me, being 6'5", it's a bit harder for me to get down. For me to get down there. I think I can. I think I can, but I just need a bit more practice, and I don't want to crash it just yet. So that's what I'm aware of there. Another thing to note.
Does the seat come off easily?
Sorry?
Does the seat come off easily?
No, not at all. No, it's got the spike pedals on it. So I was just going to come on to that.
The seat.
The seat. No, I think it's glued on. So there's a metal subframe underneath, which you saw in the other video of it in the factory. And I think certainly in this version, the early version, it's a big lump of kind of soft padding, which seems to me to be glued on or double-sided sticky taped on. I haven't tried to take it all apart and see how it works yet, but that's what it seems to me. Another thing to be aware of is that lifting it up is a little tricky because there's no handle on the front, like Sherman, for example. So I actually hold on to the light unit, which is strong enough, and then I can lift it.
That's what I was wondering.
So, and you can see just above the light unit is the heatsink for the all of those MOSFETs that are in there. I think the external design of a heatsink is something I've been looking to see for a long time. Kingsong have done it with the S20, and now BEGODE are doing it with this wheel. I've never had it go hot at all. So I think that's a great aspect of the design. Maybe there's some small things that could be improved. There's a little fan in there, but there's no mudguard, as you can see. So
there's a mudguard there.
Only at the back. Only at the back. From halfway to the back, there's a mudguard. From halfway to the front, there's no mudguard at the moment. But it would be easy to fit one. There's plenty of space in there, plenty of metalwork to attach things to. So I think in terms of messing around and upgradability and adding things to it, there's a lot of ability to customize the metalwork that's there. It's like six mils of aluminium on the side there. The actual up and down stanchions for the suspension look to me to be really robust. And certainly a larger diameter than the S18, but there are only 2 of them. So far that's all been working well. What else? The pedals are interesting for me because every EUC I've ever had has had loose pedals that just flop down. Now these are different. In nearly 900 kilometers, they're still tight. They seem to have Teflon inserts in them. That's the feeling of it. So they're always a little bit tight, and they never get loose. And it feels like it's way better quality than any other wheel I have owned.
Wow.
So there's definitely some attention to detail which is going into these new BEGODE models. This is the only one I've had experience with, so I can't say if this is a general change in their design philosophy, but it does seem to be that way with the Hero this wheel and the Master, they're definitely going in this direction of what I consider to be improvement. So, yeah, so I was, as you saw in the video, I was pretty excited to get it out of the box because, like, first person in the world probably to unbox one of these. So I was pretty excited.
Awesome,
I think that's probably still in transit to some people in the US and the UK, perhaps. I think there's one in the Philippines. I've seen a picture where the guy has put a U-shaped, U-stride, U-shaped bar on the front of this wheel.
I saw that. Yeah, he put a bar. He put a bar in the front of it. I grabbed it.
One of these, nice.
Everybody's following U-stride. So yeah, so there's an ability to modify it in this way. It would definitely make it easier to lift up, and for me to also to sit down. I like to hold the front, and personally I can't do that with this wheel. But anyway, what else is there to say?
What do you think compared to the S20?
I haven't ridden the S20.
But this is in a completely different category anyway, right?
That's how I see it.
What is the top speed that you've got with the 80% beeps?
The top speed?
Yeah.
That you've gotten.
I don't know. I'm afraid to take it. I don't think I've ever taken it up to the maximum yet because it's faster than anything else I've got. Even though it's a torque motor, it's 100 volt and it's got 3600 watt hour battery, so it never runs out of steam. For my riding, I can never push it to its limit, not yet anyway.
Wow.
So I mean, other riders I'm sure will easily take it to its limit, but for me, I haven't done that yet. But I'm just excited that I can ride as fast as I want, as fast as I feel comfortable for as long as I want, and it can do it. So that aspect of it's been great for me. I have taken it off-road as well, up some pretty gnarly tracks, and the limit really was the rider, not the wheel. I would say, from my experience, I haven't really tried to adjust the suspension too much yet. I had an issue with my first pre-production version, but I've got a new shock unit which is working perfectly now. But I haven't really had a chance to play with it too much. But I feel like these new wheels are a little bit on the hard side, and maybe the dampings, I haven't been able to sort that out yet. But generally, it's riding off-road pretty well for such a big wheel, I would say.
Wow.
The top speed, the freewheel spin, Brewer, is 102 kilometers per hour. That's 63 miles per hour. So that's still pretty fast.
That's 52 mile an hour wheel.
Still pretty fast.
Another thing,
you put the monster board in it like the other one.
Yeah.
There's one more thing I'd like to address, actually. I rode this at the factory because I hassled them. They let me ride every wheel there.
Really?
And they just let me ride everything. And when I rode this, I'd already seen the E-Wheels video about the Hero, and they didn't like the tire, and they changed it very, very quickly. So I was riding, I thought, yeah, this tire's awful. And it falls into corners, it understeers and things like that. And when I first had it, the first 50 or 100 kilometers, I felt the same way. However, what I discovered was that actually it's just a question of the rider getting used to the tire and the way it rides. So yes, it does fall sharply if you're not aware of how to compensate for it. So it's very, very simple. You just lean a little forwards and you add speed to compensate for the fall. And that's just a rider becoming accustomed to the wheel. I think you guys talked about that earlier. You can't just jump on somebody else's wheel and expect to ride it comfortably. That's definitely true with this wheel and this tire. But I've really found now I've got used to it, I actually really enjoy it.
Wow.
It makes a bit of it makes a bit of noise and makes people aware you're coming. If you do need to go off road, you can. If you're on road, I think the grip is perfectly good enough. So I also found that when I'm turning, and doing fairly tight, slow-speed turns, it's just rock solid. On other wheels, you may get some dipping or something, or you may get some change in the way it steers, but this one, it just stayed rock solid, and I think that's the C38 motor. You can make slight adjustments, and it just follows you immediately. So I've really enjoyed that aspect of being able to handle this wheel, which is 47 kilos and quite tall. But I find I'm able to handle it really well. You do have to be careful. It is a lot of weight. You can lose it.
It's 103 pounds, which is 43. Did you say 40? Wait, what is it? 43?
47. 47.
Oh, it's 47,
kilos.
yeah. 47
right
kilos,
back,
103 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone was just asking how much does it weigh.
Wow. So I think for me, for a pre-production wheel, although I didn't realize that's what it was, but it is a pre-production wheel. I think it's done pretty well. There were a few small kinks which I just told Way about, and we just sorted them out. But now it's just riding really well, and I would say it's kind of my favorite wheel now. So.
Now, someone's asking, since it's so heavy, should it feel stable at high speeds? Do you feel stable?
That's the thing. I did mention earlier, it's really stable at high speeds. And for me, this is new. So my V3 Monster with 2 battery packs on one side and 1 on the other, I always thought it was still stable, but this wheel is way more stable than my Monster.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's something I've really, really enjoyed about it. I can just lean into it, let it go, and it just stays straight. It's fantastic. I love it.
Wow. Good golly. Choices.
So do you mostly ride on flat surface or hills?
Me?
As well?
Me?
Well,
so
yeah, because you ride.
Yeah. You know, there aren't that many hills here, but what we do a lot of is going up drop curbs. So the EUCs are supposed to ride on the pavement here, or they have cycle routes along with pedestrian routes on the pavement or the sidewalk. So we're always bumping up and down drop curbs, and they're quite large as well. So for me, this is the real test of this, what was really a city wheel. Is how well it bumps up those curbs, and it does that pretty well. I would say not as well as my S18, but it's a slightly different wheel, and I haven't fully tuned the suspension yet. I also do a lot of overpasses where they have ramps going up. They're about 30-degree ramps. You're always hitting the ramps. It does all of that really well. Makes it a lot easier. In terms of just going up steep hills. I haven't done that here. I have done that elsewhere, yes. Honestly, it's just a torque motor and it just goes up them. And I just start laughing because I think, how can it keep accelerating up this hill? But it does. It's just hilarious. And then you go into S bends, and it just holds the angle of the bend. It's really, really nice. So for me, in terms of road riding, hills, bends, curves, basic off-road and things like that, it's done everything I asked of it. I'm sorry, I've been trying to get some videos done, but I haven't managed it yet. I'll try.
We need to come over and film some videos with you, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Wow, that's so ironic that we play your video and then you show up. That's crazy.
That is, I'm telling you, sometimes just having a free platform just open, man, don't plan it. It just works out perfect.
Mr. Wow. Lucifer was like, hey, he's in the chat. I'm like, I thought he was playing around. But
it's a good day for me, actually. It's a working day for me, but this afternoon I have a bit of free time, so I just happened to be on YouTube at lunchtime, and you popped up in my feed.
Brewer, do you have any questions for him? I mean, you are looking to get it. Is it available yet? Is it available? I don't know.
No, not yet.
Not yet, right?
No. When is it? You don't know when they're going to have it available?
My feeling is that they sent probably 20 or 30 out to dealers before the holiday, as in the same way as most companies now, it's a pre-production wheel to get feedback. So that's what I think is happening, but I don't actually know that. Please don't quote me. So I think that's it. So, and then when that feedback comes, I guess they'll start shipping more, but that's just my opinion.
Okay.
I am just surprised that Mr. Brewer is choosing this wheel, and I thought it was a joke. But then I remember seeing your unboxing a couple days ago, and you're the only one I've seen. So
it's simply because I live in Shenzhen, so it's just like a couple of hours for them to send it to me. So they shipped out. They shipped out all the other wheels internationally, and then I got the last one of that batch. Okay. So I got it the same day, basically. So
that's funny.
Yeah, I'm just very, very, very lucky, really.
How much did you pay, if you don't mind me asking? How much did you pay for this? Because
I'm afraid I couldn't really tell you that because I got a discount anyway. So also the prices here with probably I don't know if they added tax on, no shipping, anything like that. So I don't think it would be fair for me to comment on the price.
Right.
That's the handle.
Wow.
What is that?
How's the handle? Like, where's that? Oh, that's another thing. Yeah, the handle's really good. I'm sorry, I've got it right next to me, but I can't really show it to you. But the handles, I would say it's excellent. It's probably one of the best handles. It's pretty strong. The only thing is it doesn't lock at the top. It's one of those handles which keeps moving. I feel I don't really like that, but it is what it is. The only issue with the wheel is because of the weight, you have to be careful when you're wheeling it because it has a tendency, if you don't keep it vertical, it's quite hard to hold it up. But you learn to live with that. I mean, I just ride it as much as possible. Don't walk.
But is there resistance though? Still, if you're pulling it up and pushing it down, is there at least resistance?
No, not really. It's spring loaded. Okay. There's very little resistance. It's not like what I've heard with the S20 where it's a struggle. This one's actually really easy, and there's a little bit of play, but it's designed like all of these handles are like that. I think it's perfectly fine, no problem at all. It's I would say a larger diameter than most trolley handles, so I think it's designed for this wheel. It's specifically for this wheel, not just something they've just added on without thinking.
Right.
I think they have thought about it carefully.
Wow. And does it have a display? I can't see the top.
No, it doesn't.
I don't think it does. Yeah.
But I keep meaning to have a word with them about that because I think the Master has evolved since there was a lot of feedback within the community about the Heroes display being so good and the S20 having a display. And I think I probably told them you should put a display on it. And they've done that now.
Hero display on it.
So I've got a feeling
that's a good display, the Hero.
6 weeks ago. So I think they've listened to the community for the Master, I think. And you'll see the front end of these two wheels are different. So the lighting on the Master is set into the seating area, whereas on the EX20 it's separate from the seating area. Right. So I think the design is still evolving. Obviously, they are different wheels. I would like them to put a display on this one, but I think they were marketing it more as a similar style to the S20 and the S18.
Yeah, I could see that. Yep.
It's bare bones without technology. There's no USB port. There's no Bluetooth music or anything like that.
Now, did you get a chance to ride the Master?
No, okay. I didn't even know about the Master when I bought this. Okay. That's how new the Master is.
Wow.
In a way. So
you should tell them to add the USB port.
They were working on that, and I knew BEGODE had been working really, really hard for months and months and months, and now I know why. So,
Wow.
because
You're
I
not playing games, man. Wow.
no. So even Mr. Lin, he's the owner. I said, "Oh, how's he doing?" I said, "Oh, he's just so busy because he's an engineer himself."
Hmm.
So he has been highly involved in the production of these latest wheels on a personal level as well. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how it works, but if the owner is involved in it, then it's definitely going in the right direction.
How do you like the stand?
Oh yeah, that's great. It's on the stand right now.
Oh, nice.
So it's really, really easy to use. In fact, what I do is I pull the handle out, put it back on the stand, and then I rest my helmet and all my bits and pieces on the handle, which is now at 40. The handle's now at 45 degrees, and I just put all my stuff there. It's just really, it works really well.
Wow.
My only concern is you might have to be careful going downstairs or something like that, or very steep. It would have to be really steep and not catch it on something. But I've never had that happen yet, so I don't think it's a real issue.
Or you'd have to lean back.
How easy is it to change the tire? Do you know?
I don't know, and I haven't gone there yet. I haven't gone there.
So,
I would say just looking at it, I think it's a different design to the Hero, and I think they've used fewer screws on this one, although there are still quite a lot.
Someone said 6 screws would be enough.
Really, but I can tell you that there's a guy in the Philippines. I forget who he is now. So he's the one who put the handle on the front, but he's also changed the tire. So I think he's the EUC dealer in the Philippines. So it might be worth hitting him up and asking him how that was. For me, this was always going to be a supermoto wheel with a road tire because most of my riding is on road. And the few times you need to go off road, mostly a road tire can do it, unless you're in muddy conditions. Most of the time it's fine. And if you need to let your tire pressure down a little, then you can do that if you want. But,
have you tried 244?
Sorry?
Have you tried a Shinko 244 tire?
No, I've never changed the tire yet.
He's never changed the tire yet.
I've been riding for 3 years and I've never changed the tire, so I obviously don't ride enough. Or I'm not sure why, but I haven't worn the tire out yet.
It's an off-road tire. A street tire. It's both, kind of.
Yeah. I feel like this one is going to be easier to change the tire on. The screws are all open. They seem to be open. It's not like you have to go inside and have difficulty getting into the screws. It all seems to be there in front of you. You can see that image there. All the screws there. There's quite a few screws, but I would guess you wouldn't need to undo those. Really, with this wheel, it's a question of disconnecting the motor cable on this wheel, I think. And I don't know what is involved, whether you would need to go into the control board or whether there's another place to disconnect it. I think from then on, disconnecting the wheel will be straightforward.
Okay, wow.
But again, I haven't done it, so I don't know. Maybe I'll have a chat with the guys and see if I can get some information out of them. Usually I leave that to Afiz in E-Rides.
Yes, E-Rides.
he usually talks to them. So
he's awesome. Yeah.
He's one of the first.
Go ahead.
Go on. I was going to say he's one of the first guys I ever saw with videos on EUCs many years ago. With him,
and he used to visit them.
Him learning and falling off. Yeah, I actually noticed he came out when I was here, and I said, "Let's go out for a beer," but I think he was too busy. Anyway, go ahead.
Have you ever bottomed out? I mean, the suspension looks very short in terms of travel.
Yeah, no, I haven't bottomed out. And well, here's an interesting thing. There was normally there's a blue O-ring on the suspension so you can see how much it moves. And this wheel didn't Yeah, any suspension has an O-ring on there, so you can see where the sag is when you set it up for your weight, and see what the maximum travel is. So this wheel didn't come with one, so I've let them know they should have one, and I've added one on. So right now I haven't bottomed it out,
Nice.
and I have been hitting things hard with it. So I probably could run it a little softer than what I am, and I think it would actually handle better then. But I haven't put the time into the suspension yet.
Okay.
I think it's 4 inches of travel. I think, which should be enough, to be honest with you, for most situations. Just a question of working out what is the right setting for your weight in the terrain that you're riding on, and then that determines how hard it's going to be.
Right.
Yeah, if it's not bottoming out on you, I mean, you said you're 6'5". I mean, you're pretty big rock. Yeah, man. So if it's not bottoming out on you, should be good.
No, I'm 95 kilos at the moment, and if I'm going on a ride, I might carry 10. So I'm riding it at that weight. No, it hasn't bottomed out. So yeah, again, probably not riding hard enough.
Wow. Any other questions, Mr. Brewer?
No, I think I asked all the questions I had.
What about like parking it? Like, you know, when you go to, do you bring it to store, or what do you use it for mostly?
No, I use this for everything. I wouldn't go shopping with it normally. I'd take another wheel. Usually my V10 works well for shopping. But I just take it everywhere with me. We're just lucky here in China, nobody gives a damn. So I ride it where I like. I wheel it where I want, and I don't care too much about that.
Is the battery case plastic or metal?
Actually, I'm not sure.
If you hit it, you can kind of feel.
It feels like metal, but it could easily be a very robust plastic. I think it feels like thin aluminium.
Interesting.
That's good. That's what I'm doing.
It doesn't easily flex. So in fact, it didn't flex when I just pressed it. So I think it's fairly strong.
Yeah. Wow.
How are the spike pedals?
Spike pedals are standard BEGODE pedals, as far as I can see. I think they work fantastically well. And there's some strange things about this wheel that get me somehow. Standing up on this wheel, getting onto it, it's actually quite a high step up, even for me. And I'm like, wow. And then I put my left foot up, and it's always in the right place. On the other wheels, it's never in the right place. But on this wheel, my second foot always lands in exactly the right place. A little bit of adjustment, and then it's fine. Absolutely.
But do you think that's because of the suspension?
Oh yeah, it's definitely right.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't think it's that, but it just so happens that this wheel lands in the right place for me. Those spike pedals, for me, fantastic. They were a revelation. I put my first set on the Monster, and then suddenly the Monster became a fantastic wheel, so it just made all the difference. Yeah, so I think most people should have them.
And are they flat or are they slanted, kind of?
Well, the BEGODE pedals, I haven't tried these, but they're adjustable. Usually, there's a screw adjustment for the angle of the pedals. So, I don't really have any things to complain about on it, really.
Wow.
There may be some things that will come to light. I don't know. But what you can see in the picture is pretty much what you get. So the ride for me is really, really good. I love the ride of it. As I say, I haven't really pushed it hard off road except for a rocky track, and I think I just wasn't a good enough rider. But 47 kilos on tough single or off road is never going to go that well. So,
is it waterproof? Or water resistant?
Yeah, probably water resistant.
Like, what's the
did
rating?
like.
Let me see if there's a rating for it.
I don't
No,
think
I
anybody.
think
I don't think anyone rates them, but I did ride it through a river at one point. Then I thought, oh, I didn't. Then I
that's
thought,
good enough for me.
then I thought I didn't get a video of that, so I went back again and again riding through the water. But it's
That's hilarious.
no, I think it's the design is inherently more waterproof than the older ones. I
Okay.
think by putting the batteries into cases.
Yeah.
Now, the way the wires come out of the top of the battery packs, it's just uses some kind of sealant around the wires coming out through the hole. Now, this is something I really want to have a chat with them about. I used to work in connection with some aerospace industries before, and we did proper military spec connectors. And then you look at the automotive industry, racing industry, they also use the same connectors. So it's a proper way to connect anything through a bulkhead. And then it would be easy to disconnect everything. So all of those manufacturers who make those connectors are in Shenzhen as well. It's just that not everybody knows about the product, and that those companies will also do all the wiring looms. So they'll create wiring looms which are waterproof, connectors which are waterproof, and bulkhead connectors which are waterproof. It could all be done. I just feel that probably EUC companies not familiar with that. Gotcha. So I need to have that conversation sometime.
Real Talk was asking the price. Real Talk, he can't say because it's not yet on the market.
It doesn't make sense to say, because I got like a friend's price, so, and it doesn't include shipping and all of those things.
Yeah.
But I did pay for it, so I don't have any. I'm not working for Gotway or anything, or BEGODE or anything like that. So it's my genuine opinion.
Mm. Who would you recommend this wheel for? What type of rider?
For me, it's just a long distance person. So I always was looking for an intercity wheel where I could ride from this city to the next city in one charge, or maybe,
nice.
or maybe with one charge during lunchtime. And I've always felt that EUC should have suspension. Then, thank goodness, a year or two ago they finally made one. So for me, will be the most comfortable long distance wheel. That's what I'm thinking. It has a proper seat on it when I can get down onto it. And this is going to be the ultimate touring wheel. So I see it as something equivalent to, let's say, a Ducati Multistrada, or a Triumph Adventure, or a BMW R1200 GS. So those big off-road, semi-off-road touring bikes. I think that's what this is. Something that can do a bit of off-road. It can go into back road routes, go long distances. It's a big touring machine for me. That's my opinion of what it is. So anybody who goes and tries to do, let's say, trials riding, or how can I put it? These short distance, high speed things, which are technical, this is the wrong wheel for that. So I think in all of EUC world, we have to remember these wheels are designed for different things, or they're capable with different things. And it doesn't make sense to, for example, let's say test an S20 against one of the BEGODE wheels. They're different animals, and to try and compare them like for like, I think is a mistake. But people like to do that. So
well, we do that because people like to do that. We cover it. We cover it in here because it's inevitable. It's going to happen.
I think it's kind of okay to do it, and then we'll come along and take everybody's opinion and say, well, I'm okay with that. I don't need that. That's not important to me. This suits my use case scenario way better. And then we choose the wheel in that way.
Right.
Even for me, the S20, the fact that it doesn't burn off the mark from zero, that wouldn't bother me, because I don't ride like that anyway.
Yeah, it bothers me.
And then you might think, well, if you're off road and you suddenly hit a big rock and you need to power over it, could it do
Right.
that?
That's a good point.
That-
That's a very good point.
That's the actual use case scenario that matters for that wheel. Now, I did find that the EX20 did that when I took it off-road. I couldn't control my line properly. It was so rocky, and I hit these big rocks, but it climbed them. So I was like really happy with that. Yeah, so we need to make our own judgments about what is valuable to us, each of us, about each wheel, and we make a buying decision.
Right.
Yes. Wow. I think that's the most
Okay.
information I've heard on this wheel. Thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome. So yeah, we'll have to go now. I've probably been on away from work for a little
thank
bit
you.
long.
Thank you so much. Thank you for
Yes,
coming on, Mr. Rodger.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, guys. Yeah, obviously I follow your channel.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So very happy, very thankful for all of the things you guys have done for the community. Really do appreciate that.
Yeah, and you've added some. Thank you.
All right then. Cheers, guys.